All right, so buckle up. We're going to talk about the Tesla AI event that just recently happened and its broad implications. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. It looks a little geriatric, but that's all right.
This is literally the first time the robot has operated without a tether. Was on stage tonight.
I don't believe that. This is a multi-million-dollar unit, right, that they're in development of. Why would this be the first time you test it? That might be a fib, I don't know.
So the robot can actually do a lot more than we just showed you. We just didn't want it to fall on its face. So we'll
It didn't do a whole hell of a lot. So the image to the left is the final kind of target design of what the Tesla bot or Optimus is supposed to look like and be like. It's going to be fully functioning, being able to do a lot of stuff, whether it's, lifting boxes, working at a warehouse, becoming a robot cop or nurse or doctor or whatever. That is what it's supposed to be at the end. And so this is what we just saw right now, which is going to be their current development platform that they're tweaking things. And then I guess this is the latest generation that they're about to show us here in a bit. So interesting. So being that the robot didn't do a whole of a lot while live on the stage, let's see what they pre-recorded as far as, like what the robot is actually capable of.
Yeah, we wanted to show a little bit more what we've done over the past few months with the bot and just walking around and dancing on stage. Just humble beginnings, but you can see the autopilot neural networks running as is, just retrained for the bot directly on that new platform. That's my watering can.
Yeah, when you see a rendered view, that's the robot. That's the world the robot sees. So it's very clearly identifying objects. Like this is the object it should picking it up. Yeah.
We use the same process as we did for autopilot to collect data and train neural networks that we then deploy on the robot. That's an example that illustrates the upper body a little bit more. Something that we'll try to nail down in a few months, over the next few months, I would say, to perfection.
What's interesting there is that in as much as the robot itself clearly sucks compared to something like Boston Dynamics robots that are able to dance and do some very cool. This robot is very kind of slow and like, oh my God, my prostate, like it's very kind of mechanical and slow and kind of jarring, and it looks like it's in pain. So the key difference between this robot and Boston Dynamics robots and other cool robots you've seen out there is that those robots are kind of pre-programmed and scripted to behave how they behave, whereas they're trying to build a robot that is able to learn all its movements using neural networks, using AI. So nothing is pre-programmed by the programmers. It is learning to say, hey, you know what? I see this object over here. Let me pick it up and, realize that this is my hand and I can connect it with this and grab it. And so that process is going to be slow. So basically, like it's a huge child being developed right here. So that's what's cool and different about this robot. So the robot clearly didn't do anything amazing on screen, and we saw it, it's not impressive. But what is impressive is that in the short span of a year, that from 2021, where they had the AI event, to now that they announced that they were going to build this robot, and the first 2021 AI event happened to be a guy in a suit. Well, in that short amount of time, a year, they were able to come up with the skeleton, put brains within it, and it's able to now do some basic commands of like figuring out, hey, I see this object, let me grab it and move it around. That is pretty cool to do in short order. And I think that's because they're leveraging their large code base, large technology, batteries, everything, every infrastructure that they developed in the past to be able to get themselves to this, scale already within 1 year. That is amazing. And of course, it seems like Tesla has endless funds to be able to design and build anything. And we also know that Tesla in itself, its company is a vertical sort of setup where everything is in-house. They have insurance, they have housing, they have batteries, they have manufacturing. It literally is it's just everything. So this is pretty amazing in itself that it doesn't look pretty impressive. What's happening underneath, the programming, the operating system running everything, that is really what is to be appreciated with Tesla's particular, with this demonstration here.
So here you're seeing Optimus.
So it's been kind of like pushed onto the stage.
With these are with the degrees of freedom that we expect to have in Optimus Production Unit 1. Our goal is to make a useful humanoid robot as quickly as possible. We've also designed it using the same discipline that we use in designing the car, which is to design it for manufacturing such that it's possible to make the robot in high volume at low cost with high reliability. So that's incredibly important. I mean, you've all seen very impressive humanoid robot demonstrations, and that's great, but what are they missing? They're missing a brain. They don't have the intelligence to navigate the world by themselves. And they're also very expensive and made in low volume. Whereas Optimus is designed to be an extremely capable robot, but made in very high volume, probably ultimately millions of units, and it is expected to cost much less than a car.
I'll just bring it directly to the right here.
I would say probably less than $20,000 would be my guess.
I think probably the most amazing thing that he's saying there is that he's designing a robot that's designed to be mass produced, that's going to be just kind of like rubber stamped on a assembly line and just kind of like spit out each single minute of the day. Whereby, who knows, by 5 years from now, we'll have a robot in every single house, on every single street corner. There'll be as many robots as there are humans, perhaps. So to be able to do that, you have to have a design system whereby hey, we need to be able to make and design like the fingers, the hands, the batteries to be easily replaceable, producible, just kind of iterate like crazy. And being able to spit out that type of volume, you're going to have like maybe cheaper parts, but still high quality because this is Tesla after all. And so it's going to drive down the cost. And so a lot of people are going to have it. But, that's all cool. I like robotics. I've dreamed of robots being something, that we all can see within my lifetime. However, now being an adult and you're kind of realizing, hey, you know what? I need to be able to feed for my family, my kids, pay for my house. So what's that going to do to my job? And can I send my robots to work in my place? Will employers allow that? Probably not, right? Because a lot of employers who can afford it can be like, you know what? I'm going to buy 10 units and have basically 10 employees walking around moving boxes for me. And if you consider the fact that these robots are going to have AI and be able to think, I'm sure there's going to be nursing modules within those AI brains, doctor modules, programmer modules, or what have you, whereby these robots will be able to not only do like menial, low cost jobs, but as well as be able to do high complexity activities. There is no job out there that's a possible robot cannot now replace. And so, I mean, it makes me think of movies like possible futures that we can think of, just kind of is out there when robots are in the mix, where AI is in the mix. So we have to start thinking about, you know, the government to be able to do something so that there's going to be basic universal income or different policies in place to kind of help safeguard people. Because after all, if we have all these robots that displaces humans, what value is there in the economy? You know, so I kind of worry about that. And it's just kind of what I think about in my adult mind relative to the fact that, you know, as a kid, I always wanted to see robots to be live and to play with because it'd be super cool. But you never stop thinking about the implications that these robots are going to cause of like, hey, all these things. So, but still very damn cool. But with that said, let's go ahead and hear from some haters.
Speaking on potentially overvalued tech companies, we're also keeping an eye on Tesla shares. Companies hosting AI Day 2 today, where we are expected to get an update on new tech in the works, including Tesla robot named Optimus. We were showing some creepy photos.
You know, overvalued stock and some creepy robotic images. You know, I don't know if it's creepy or not, but I think it looks very sleek, very cool.
But this is what Elon Musk's vision is for this company, is to have Optimus robots on the factory floor, churning out electric cars, no humans, no days off, pedal to the metal here, and that's it. That's the future right there.
This is the future.
That's the future Tesla worker.
The money that's going to need to go into this, yes. Why? Why put cash towards this? Why put resources internally, human resources?
That's a good question. Why put so much into that? But the only explanation I can think of right now, just kind of in the spot, is maybe Tesla is a trendsetter. It says, you know what, hey, why don't we have electric cars out there? All these electric car manufacturers, they've had the capacity to create electric vehicles if they wanted to all along, but they chose not to. And there's that forever insistence on fossil fuel. And so Tesla decided, you know what, if no one else is going to do it, why not I? I'm going to freaking make it happen. And he actually actively invited competition in the space of electric vehicles because he knows it's going to spur innovation. And I think it's the same thing he's doing with robotics, because essentially if no one else is taking it seriously and he starts taking it seriously, and then there's some strong economic productivity enhancements that comes out of it, improvements in quality of life, because maybe these robotics will be able to help with childcare, senior care, or to do jobs that are otherwise too dangerous for average human beings to be able to do, then that's a net positive. And so therefore it's going to cause an improvement in the economy and or, you know, basically drive up the valuation of Tesla. And so other companies are going to be quite envious of that process and going to say, hey, you know what, let's also enter this space as well, because Tesla is, you know, taking away business from us and we're becoming irrelevant. So I think that's a possible cause for, you know, why are they doing this? But still, there's a strong worry that remains on my part and a lot of people's part, where there's going to be some serious displacement of individuals who, if you're not skilled or have different avenues for producing income, it's going to increase unemployment like crazy in the near future. And a lot of the wealth that's going to be generated from this is going to be further concentrated in the hands of a limited few of people versus to be kind of democratized and kind of shared globally. As we know, trickle-down economics never works. And so Tesla's going to make a buttload of money for itself, and average folks may not be able to afford these robotics because, one, they're being displaced from their job, and two, they may not have the income to purchase after they're fired from their jobs and replaced by robots to be able to turn around and purchase the same robots that just displaced them. So a lot of things to consider. So here's where we're going to change it and kind of talk about some people who are just kind of like pimping Tesla to almost like a super cringy level.
He's trying to create something first that's going to stand in a factory and replace a minimum wage worker. that would ordinarily potentially cost $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year plus benefits, sick pay, and only works 8 hours a day, with something that costs $20,000, doesn't have workers' comp, liability, training, and time off, right? Something that works 24/7 for the same price. Elon Musk actually liked my tweet, which I thought, well, I mean, obviously, if Elon Musk likes your tweet, it's an honor, so I have to show it off. What was really incredible was this idea that you could really infinitely expand the economy with these sorts of robots and create this future of abundance, a future of no poverty, because really what you're doing is you're creating no limit to the means of production now. You're removing human capital from the equation of the means of production.
If you talk to people from the 1700s and they look at 2022 right now, they would say we have a crap ton of technology. We have vehicles being able to, take us from one city or one coast to another coast. We have planes that's able to transfer us from, like one continent to another in a limited number of hours. So there's a lot of strong technological advancements that's happened, and yet with all of that and the amount of funds out there, there's still people starving. There's people living on the streets, and that doesn't matter whether you're in the United States or Africa or where else. There's like still endemic poverty happening. So I fail to kind of grasp how there's going to be a future of
abundance
with this robot coming out, especially when it's going to displace, and it's been stated that it's going to displace workers all over the place.
Now you're just limited by materials, raw materials, right? But if you're doing services, my goodness, now there's really no limit to potentially GDP increasing, and now you're just limited by how many people actually need those services. But it's really phenomenal. I mean, imagine every single person in the world has their own robot just to do their laundry and clean for them, right? Now feed them and just do everything hard for them. I mean, it's really, really incredible.
But anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. If you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and let me know what are your thoughts. Is this cool? Is this going to be something that's going to displace millions of people? And what are some things that we should be thinking about? But till next time, I'm Solos Code.